on the exam day, they will give you a headset, okay? And you are going to be listening to some recordings in the headset. You'll be listening to some people who are talking. And as you are listening to them, your job is to use their discussion to answer some questions that you are seeing on the computer screen. So I'm talking here um, based on the assumption that everybody listening to me is taking computer-based tests. Okay? If you are in Nigeria, you are going to be taking the computer-based test. If you are in Nigeria, you are taking your test in Nigeria, you are taking the computer-based test. Okay? So you are not going to be getting the question paper. If they will give you a paper, if they will give you a piece of paper on the exam day, it's going to be a blank paper for you to jot down some things. They may give you. It's possible they give you, it's possible they don't give you. Okay, it's not a compulsory thing. But if they give you, good. If they don't give you, it's still good. It's not a bad thing. You can handle it. You just need to get yourself prepared for anything that comes. So the idea is that what you're going to see the questions on the computer screen. You will also, the audio recording will also be on the computer screen. You can play it. Okay. Once you start the exam, the thing will start playing automatically from the computer screen. So you have the headset, you'll be hearing the speakers talk. As they are talking, your job will be to what? To answer questions based on what you are hearing. Okay. So what I want to do is that I'm going to show you some websites where you can practice your what's it called? Listening. Those websites will allow you to type in your answer. Some websites will not allow you to type in your answer. Okay, for some websites, you'll have to write your answer on a piece of paper. For some other websites, you can type in your answer. There are two websites I will show you now. The first one is what I call mini-IELTS.com. Okay, so look at this site now. This site here has some listening tests that will allow us to what's it called? To type in our answers. Okay, so let's just wait. The thing will load now. Okay, so here we have our sites. So here is listening. You can see listening practice. So I can click on any of these. I can click on any of these and then we're going to see some. So let me just click the first one. Let me see what it was going to give me. So click on water hyacinth. Let's see what it's going to give me. So here we are. You can see YouTube. So if I click on play here, the audio recording will start playing. So let me click on play. Okay.
Part 3. You will hear two students called Arya and John.
Can you hear what the speaker is saying? Part 3. Part 3. You will hear two students, Aya and John. Did you hear that? And let me know if you heard it. I want you to type in the chat box if you heard what the speaker said now. Part 3. You will hear two students, Aya and John, or something like that. How many of you heard that? Did you hear that? Let me know if you heard. Did you hear? Okay. Okay, very good. So once you click on play, the stuff will start playing.
On water hyacinth.
Okay. On water hyacinth.
You have some time to look at questions 21 to 26.
Now, she says that you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. But if you look at the number, you can see that it's not 21 they wrote here. You can see that they wrote question 1 and 2. So just assume that it's a website setting. So just look at question 1 and 2. Okay. Then look at 3 to 6. I guess that should represent question 21 to 26. 1 to 6. 21 to 26. So you just take some time to quickly look at those questions. Now, let me ask a question. For those of you who have been following my class on listening so far, when you look at those questions during that period of silence, what are you looking for? What are you trying to identify? Who can tell me? Who remembers? What are we trying to identify during that period? That period when they say, first of all, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6. First of all, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. What are we trying to identify during that period? Who can tell me? Let me see who remembers. What are we trying to identify What are we trying to identify? Thank you very much. I actually call them signposting words. Some people call them keywords. I prefer to call them signposting words. Okay, they guide me towards the answer. Keywords, I usually use keywords for IELTS reading. But when it comes to IELTS listening, I like to call them signposting words. So signposting words are basically words on the question that the speakers will mention that will guide me towards my answer. So look at this one here now. Here we have multiple choice questions. So for multiple choice questions, your job is to look at those questions and do what? Look at the options also and identify some signposting words in the options. Verbs, adverbs. Poisoned is a verb here. Farmers cannot fish. Cannot fish. In other words, you cannot catch fish. The dam's structure is damaged. Damage is a verb here. Electricity production is affected. Affected is a verb here. So these are my signposting words that will that will guide me in choosing my answer. Okay, so for multiple choice questions, you need to pay attention to what they are saying. And as they are talking, you look at the options. Let your eyes move up and down the options so that you can eliminate the wrong answers and then settle for the correct answer. So let me play the audio now and I will try and answer some of these questions here. And then I'll move to the other website. So let me just fast forward a little bit.
Now, listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
26, okay. So,
John,
which two problems are caught?
On the hyacinth.
So, what we are listening for, the answer I want to pick is what? Two problems caused by water hyacinth. Two problems caused by water hyacinth. All right, so let's listen closely.
Well, I went on a field trip on my own and collected the primary data. After I came back, I also referred to the published data.
So, what do you know about this plant?
The water hyacinth grows in tropical countries. It has beautiful purple-blue flowers, but everybody hates it.
Why is that?
The water hyacinth, as the world's worst invasive aquatic plant, has attracted significant attention. Millions of these plants grow in rivers and lakes and have brought huge environmental and cultural problems to the local people. Farmers cannot travel in boats on the water and thus cannot fish in it. In addition,
Can you see that the speaker has mentioned something? He mentioned something about farmers now. Okay, let me rewind a little bit so that you pick it again.
Farmers cannot travel in boats on the water and thus cannot fish in it.
Can you see that? So based on what that guy said, we can pick one answer. Let me see. What answer can we pick based on what that guy said now? Who can tell me? What option can we pick based on what that guy said now? Based on what he said now, what answer, what option, which one of the options can we pick based on what the guy said? Thank you. Option B. He said farmers cannot travel and thus cannot fish. That points at what? Option B. Okay, let's go on.
In addition, heavy free-floating mats of water hyacinth are clogging the dam at the power station in West Africa. Turbines of the power station are often shut down because of the intertwined leaves. Dams often cease to function as a result, severely restricting the electricity generation.
So, based on, he said many things now. Many of the things he said points at some things in C, some things in D, some things in E, but we have to pick just one. So which one are we going to pick? Who can tell me? Anybody? Which one are we going to pick? I think he mentioned dam. He mentioned electricity. Okay, I can see two electricity production is affected here. One of these two will be a mistake or something like that. But, I mean, which one are we going to pick? Based on what he said, let me rewind a little bit and then let's speak it again.
Shut down because of the intertwined leaves. Dams often cease to function as a result, severely restricting the electricity generation. Dense mats of water hyacinth also shade the surface and prevent algae growth.
So severely restricting what? Electricity production. If he says it's severely restricting the electricity production, that's pointing at what? Electricity production is affected. So it can be either D or E. Okay, so let me just pick D. So that's it. You see the way I'm clicking. That's how your exam will, that's what it's going to look like on the exam day. You'll be able to click the correct, what's it called? The correct options and move on. You get my point now? Let me continue the audio.
Limiting the production of oxygen and threatening the survival of fish.
Number 3 now.
Where did water hyacinth originate from?
The water hyacinth is native to the Amazon basin in Latin America. It has spread mainly to the tropics and subtropics throughout much of the world since the 1800s. Later, it was introduced into Europe and Africa, spread mainly to the tropics and subtropics throughout much of the world since the 1800s.
Let me rewind a
Later,
little bit.
Where did water hyacinth originate from?
Where did they originate from?
Hyacinth is native to the Amazon basin in Latin America.
Latin
It is spread
America.
mainly to the tropics
That's
and
what Tony-
subtropics throughout much of the world since the 1800s.
Okay.
Later, it was introduced into Europe and Africa as an ornamental garden pond plant due to its beauty.
Let me share one tip with you, ladies and gentlemen. Whenever these guys are talking, when it comes to multiple choice questions, okay, one of the things you'll notice is that they are going to say something in all the options. If you notice what the guy said now, you'll notice that he mentioned Latin America. That's the first thing they mentioned. He mentioned Africa. He mentioned Europe. But you see, the fact that he mentions something does not mean that is the answer. You need to ask yourself, exactly what does he say about those options? So that's what will help you know what to pick as your answer. Exactly what does the speaker say about what? About those options. So for me, number 3 is going to be A. What he said about Africa and Europe is not pointing at the fact that water hyacinth originated from Africa or Europe. What he said is that he is native to what? Latin America. That's what he said at the beginning. So let's go on. Let me continue the audio.
Flowers of this plant were being sold in local markets in African countries as a source of income for women. Since the 1900s, this weed has infested lakes, rivers, and creeks of the delta areas in West Africa.
Okay.
I guess whoever introduced this plant had never expected the disastrous impact it would have on the local ecological environment. What kind of habitat does water hyacinth thrive most in?
Well, it has been discovered that the nutrient-rich environment contributes significantly to the rapid proliferation of this weed, which obtains its nutrients directly from the water. This is normally compounded with a decrease of nutrients along the river banks.
Can you say this?
Why is that?
The main reason for soil nutrient loss is that local residents cut down trees. Excessive deforestation accelerates soil erosion, which indirectly compounds this issue. Without enough trees to retain nutrients in the soil, frequent rain might partly aggravate this by carrying some of the nutrients into the waterways.
Are there any effective measures to control or even eradicate this weed?
Okay.
Yes, a number of approaches have been widely applied throughout the world. Among them, biological control is the most widely favored long-term control method by introducing a type of insect that feeds on water hyacinth. So far, Nigeria has used this method for 6 months. However, water hyacinth won't be removed immediately. The side effects of this method on local ecology will remain unforeseen for years because it takes time for this external insect species to reach a density sufficient enough to affect ecological development.
Then what about other approaches? Is there a quicker way to control it?
Well, the mechanical removal of water hyacinth seems the best short-term solution. This option includes harvesting plants and inside cutting. This method can immediately open physical space for fish and boat traffic. It is, however, inefficient for workers to process extensive areas and costly to use large cutting and dredging equipment. Ironically, it costs even more to dispose of this plant than to remove it.
This one is inefficient and costly. I think I'll pick C.
You have some time.
I'll pick C
Questions
for number 6.
7 to 30.
I hope you guys are following. All right. So here now we have another set of questions. So basically, I think let me just pause here and then move on to another website because of our time. So basically, as you are listening, you are picking answers. And then after you finish, what do? Just come here, click on what? Submit. And then you can see the ones that you got correct and the ones that you got wrong. Okay? So look at my own stuff here now. You can see the ones I got correct. I got 1 correct. Number 2 is wrong. Number 3 is correct. Number 4 is correct. Number 5 is correct. Number 6 is correct. I did not do 7, 8, 9, 10. I didn't do this one. So you can see that I didn't write anything in front. So basically, you can use this site to do your listening practices. Okay? In our WhatsApp group, I'm not going to be sharing links from this site. I prefer to share links from another site that doesn't involve you typing. That's what's it called? IELTS Training Online. I prefer to share links from this site. This one, for this particular site, you won't be able to type in your answers. This is the one that I will be sharing in our WhatsApp group for you to practice with. Okay? And somebody says, why? The reason is that for this particular site, I have noticed that you hardly see errors there. Hardly. I've not yet seen, I've been using this site for many years. I've not yet seen one error on this website. That's why I prefer to share these sites. Okay? But you see, for this other site, these mini IELTS, you will see plenty errors where every once in a while you see errors there. You understand? That's why I hardly share links from this site. But if you want to practice with it, it's okay. You are free to do it. Okay? The other sites that you can also use for your practice is IELTS Online Tests. That's another good site. IELTSonlinetests.com. Okay, so once you come to IELTSonlinetests.com, you are going to see what's it called now? You're going to see something like this. Just come to IELTS exam library, then select IELTS listening tests. Okay, select IELTS listening test, and then you will see plenty of mock tests, and then you can pick any one you want to do, and then you can start solving. Okay, so this is another site. So what I want, there's a particular question I want to deal with now from this particular site. Okay, somebody did it and the person struggled. Somebody tried the question and the person struggled with it. So I'm going to try and do it. Okay, I will take it slowly, very slowly. Okay, so that you can pick, because the guy actually spoke very fast, very, very fast, and he was doing a lot of paraphrasing, so that you can pick the answer. And then after we finish, I'm going to submit, we'll see my score, and then we'll do self-correction. I'm going to show you this particular site is very, very good for self-correction. Somebody says, what is self-correction? Self-correction means that after you have solved some questions, take time to go through the questions you got wrong and learn from your mistakes. That's what I mean by self-correction. Take time to do what? Go through the questions that you got wrong and learn from your mistakes. You'll see me when I do it very soon. So part 4 questions from this particular website. Let's do it together. I want you to follow
entitling my lecture Unconventional Art.
All right. So this is look at the instruction. Complete the notes below. Write no more than 3 words for each answer. 3 words. So the title of this note is Animal Arts. So this thing is about animal arts. Maybe arts produced by animals, or arts, drawings of animals or something. We don't know.
Answer questions 31.
So listen closely. Okay,
I have just shown you all some slides of a very varied set of paintings. I noticed, as I was showing the slides, a few giggles in the audience and a few looks of dismay. I guess.
So I hope you guys are hearing the man talking. Let me know if you are hearing. If you can hear, I want you to type in the chat box. Type, yes, I can hear. If you can hear, just type in the chat box, yes, I can hear. Let me know if you are hearing. If you heard the audio, the speaker now.
And answer questions 31 to 40. I have just shown you all some slides of a very varied set of paintings. I noticed, as I was showing the slides, a few giggles in the audience and a few looks of dismay.
A few giggles in the audience and a few looks of dismay. Okay? The man said he shared a set of painting, and then he noticed a few giggles and looks of dismay. There's nothing like that in this first sentence. This first sentence is, despite the rather dash, animal paintings are nevertheless impressive. So I'm listening for something that sounds like despite. Despite is like a contrast. Okay? Despite the rather dash, then animal paintings, nevertheless impressive. This is another signposting word. So I've not seen anything that sounds like any of all these words here. So let me continue.
I guess entitling my lecture Unconventional Art Geniuses was a bit misleading. When most of you were looking at the frankly basic color use and rather primitive painting techniques.
Can you see he has mentioned rather? Rather primitive something. I don't think primitive is going to be the word, because I can see primitive here. What I've noticed is that if there's a word that is on the question paper, that word is not likely to be an answer. So despite the rather primitive nature, So it can be primitive. So because I'm teaching you guys this thing, okay, I'm showing you how to track answers. Okay, I'm going to rewind a little bit, okay, so that I can pick the correct answer. This thing I'm doing here is what I advise people to do when they are starting out. Okay, because some people will say, can we rewind on the exam day? No, you cannot rewind on the exam day. They will now say, why are you not telling us to rewind? You should rewind because you are still a learner. You are a learner, so you should rewind. It's not that complicated. Okay? Rewind, feel free to rewind and replay because you are a learner. Okay? Until you get used to the what's it called? The accent of these speakers. Until you get used to how they do their vocabulary and how they twist things. Feel free to rewind and replay until you are sure of your answer. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm showing you. Okay? So let's go on.
As I was showing the slides, a few giggles in the audience and
Okay.
a few looks of dismay.
Okay.
I guess entitling my lecture Unconventional Art Geniuses.
Unconventional art geniuses, despite the rather unconventional. No. It can't be unconventional art geniuses. Let me continue.
Was a bit misleading. When most of you were looking at the frankly basic color use and rather primitive painting techniques.
Primitive painting techniques. Basic color use. Despite the rather basic color use. I think that fits in. Basic color use. BASIC. Basic color use. Despite the rather basic color use. So I'm going to put that in the first gap. Despite the rather basic color use. Animal paintings are nevertheless impressive. I think that sounds okay to me. Let's go on.
You probably were more than a little surprised.
Okay.
Well, I have a shock for you all.
I have a shock for you all. I have a shock for you all. Let's go on.
What I'm about to tell you next will help you understand the title of my lecture. All the slides I showed you previously are of artworks made by, wait for it, animals.
Artworks made by animals, okay? So animal art is about artworks made by animals. Animals were drawing something. Bring a cow, ask a cow to draw something. Bring a gorilla, ask a gorilla to draw something. That's what this thing is about, animal art. Okay, let's go on.
Yes, I heard a few gasps in the audience when I said that. Whilst the artwork would be definitely primitive by human standard.
Primitive. While, however, is similar to while. While the artwork will be primitive by human standard. While the artwork will be primitive by human standard. This is going to be by human standard. However, by human standards. However, by human standards, such artworks are considered rather primitive. Can you see paraphrasing? One of the ways they paraphrase is that they rearrange words. Look at it. Let me rewind a little bit so that you hear that thing again. Listen, everybody.
All the slides I showed you previously are of artworks made by, wait for it, animals. Yes, I heard a few gasps in the audience when I said that. Whilst the artwork would be definitely primitive by human standards.
While the artworks will be definitely primitive by human standards. Can you see that? While the artworks will be primitive by human standards. That's what the man said. But look at how the answer is. However, by human standards, such artworks are considered primitive. That's rearrangement of words. That's one of the ways they paraphrase in IELTS listening. They do the same thing in IELTS reading. These are things you need to train yourself to look out for. Let's go on.
You consider that the artworks were executed by animals, then, well, they are frankly staggering.
Staggering. Okay, now let's look the next one now, number 33. While we might expect apes is a keyword for me here. Yes, I'm posting words here. Some artistic talent, other animal species do too. Okay, so apes, let me listen closely for apes, then artistic talent. Let's go on.
Nor were the artworks purely the work of our closest relatives, the apes.
While we might expect apes, the man mentioned closest relatives. Wow, let me go on.
No, they were produced by animal artists drawn from a diverse pool of species ranging from elephants to gorillas.
Other animal, he's already mentioning other animal species. So this thing is going to be expect apes, closest relatives. This thing is going to be close. That thing said closest relatives is going to be the answer. Let me listen to that part again so that I will know the correct one.
By human standards. When you consider that the artworks were executed by animals, then, well, they are frankly staggering.
Okay.
Nor were the artworks purely the work of our closest relatives, the apes. No, they were produced by animal artists, drawn from a diverse pool of species, ranging from elephants to gorillas, birds, and even sloths.
So while we might expect apes, our closest relatives, I think he said our closest relatives, to have some artistic talent, other animal species do too. That's number one, 33. So you see this thing, I'm taking it slowly because I'm showing you how to handle these things and get used to how these guys talk. This particular part 4 of IELTS listening, can be very technical sometimes and complicated. So one needs to be patient. Okay, you need to exercise a lot of what? Patience. Let's go on.
In recognition of this, last year,
Hold
London's
on.
grant.
In recognition of this, last year, let me see. Recently is a paraphrase for last year. Recently is a paraphrase for last year. An interspecies exhibition of animal art was held. Dash such a phenomenon. Okay, let me go on.
Art Museum of Zoology staged what organizers thought was the first interspecies show.
Can you see interspecies show? Exhibition is a paraphrase for show. Interspecies show. Okay?
Paintings by animals. In the show, art was...
They've already left this sentence. In the show, let me go back a little bit. The answer has been mentioned.
Artists drawn from a diverse pool of species, ranging from elephants to gorillas, birds, and even sloths.
Other animal species, okay?
In fact, in recognition of this, last year, London's Grant Museum of Zoology staged what organisers thought was the first
was held in London's Grant Museum. Was held in London such a phenomenon. It doesn't fit in. This number 34 is somehow. This number 34 is somehow. Let me move on because of our time.
Species show of paintings by animals. In the show, art was shown from an orangutan, a gorilla, and an elephant.
Okay.
Whilst the gorilla and the orangutan produced works that bore a resemblance to the paintings of modern artists de Kooning and Klein, the elephant's work took a more figurative approach in the rendering of a flower pot.
Animals tend to adopt an abstract rather than a dash towards. He mentioned something figurative. I think I'll just write figurative here. I'm not sure. I think I'll just write figurative for that number 35. Let me go on. Next one.
Now, before you all go thinking this is a revolutionary discovery,
okay, number 36 now.
Put the record straight. The contribution animals can make to the art world was highlighted as far back as the 1950s.
Okay, today.
In this decade, Desmond Morris, celebrated social anthropologist and author of bestsellers such as Body Watching and The Naked Ape,
okay,
introduced Congo, the painting chimp, to the British public in a TV appearance.
Okay.
Back then, animal art makers were regarded as little more than a novelty.
Okay.
Today, however, animal artists are not viewed so much as novelties.
Novelty. Today, animal are no longer such novelty. 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 Let's go on. I hope you guys are following me. This thing is very tricky. Who is still with me? I hope you guys have not slept. If you are still with me, let me see your message. Let me see who is following me. Let me see who's following me. Okay, I can see somebody's comment. He said figurative approach for number 35. Okay, so you think number 35 should be figurative? I think I had figurative too. Yeah, number 35, that's what I wrote, figurative. Then a figurative, okay, figurative approach. Wow, thank you. Approach. That's true. Figurative does not sound complete. Assuming I write figurative only, it doesn't sound complete. Abstract rather than a figurative to art. So you see it's not complete. Thank you very much for that. Approach. Thank you very much. So let's go on. Number 37 now.
But as sophisticated creators with skills and senses,
okay,
they use to execute artworks in ways humans never can.
Okay.
As a result of animals being taken more seriously,
I'm looking for this part now.
It has become commonplace today for zoos to provide materials to captive animals. The hope is that by giving animals the means to create art, they will be kept physically and mentally stimulated. Obviously, you can't give a lizard a paintbrush and expect it to draw.
Species.
What zookeepers do, though, is to give animals species-appropriate art materials and tools.
Species-appropriate art materials, appropriate art materials and tools. So this is going to be all equipment and tools. Can you see? Art materials and tools. They need to be what? Species appropriate. So number 37 is going to be what? Appropriate. Number 38, it would seem that man and animals share something than... Okay, man and animals. Let's go on.
For example, sloth bears, who feed by blowing away dirt from the forest floor to feed on termites, have been given a straw-like apparatus to blow paint onto a canvas.
Okay.
What is one of the most interesting discoveries to come out of all this, though, is the finding that animals voluntarily and instinctively participate in the creation of art.
Okay.
It seems, therefore, that animals derive as much pleasure as humans do in applying paint to canvas or making a clay or plasticine figure.
Pleasure.
The obvious conclusion to draw from all this is that there are more similarities between man and other animals than some of us might.
Man and other animals. Similarities. They share more similarities. It's going to be more similar. They share more similarities between man and animals. I think that's going to be the answer for this number 38.
Might care to admit. However,
Okay.
Just to satisfy the skeptics amongst you, there is something I would like to add. So far, the primate and elephant art that has been produced often bears an uncanny resemblance to Western art. A certain convention in the animal's art that suggests a degree of human intervention.
Human intervention.
Proof of this, an elephant named Boon Mi.
As a result, some animal talk may be as a result of human intervention. This one is going to be human intervention. That's what this guy was talking about at that point.
He was actually guided by a keeper who steered the animal's
Can you see?
to
Guided by a
strokes
keeper
on a canvas.
Yes, that's human intervention.
We should keep an open mind about animal art, as there are just as many examples of artworks.
Maintain an open mind. This one, this number 40 is going to be open mind. Open mind. So I've been able to pick. My answers. The only one I was able to really pick is this number 34. Interspecies exhibition of animal art was held in a place or something. That's what should be here but that London doesn't seem in such a phenomenon. Doesn't seem to fit in. So let me just submit. So I only answered part 4 questions. Okay. So let me submit and see what my score will be. So I'll click on the submit button. Submit and review answers. So it's calculating my score for me now. Let's see what it's going to give me for that part 4 that I did. So let's just go straight to part 4. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here are my answers. Number 31 is correct. Basic color use 32. By human standard 33. Our closest relatives 34. Okay, in recognition of to recognize the ability of animals to create art. To recognize it. So that's the word, that's the phrase for that gap. Number 34 is going to be in recognition of. Number 35 is correct. 36. They said 36 is a novelty. Let me check. A novelty. That's going to be, let me check that place. That's number 36. Today, animal artists are no longer such a novelty as they once were. So you see, I'm scrolling down on the website. So if you are doing this thing with a computer, after submitting your work, you'll be able to review and check. You can see on the right side of my screen, there's a transcript of what the man said. You can see this thing that they typed there is the transcript. They typed out what the man said. Okay? They typed it out here. And you can see that they've highlighted the answers. That's one good thing about this particular website. So you can see that number 36. The man said, were regarded as a little more than a novelty. When I wrote my own answer, I did not put a. That's my error. Can you see? That's why I lost that mark. So you'll be able to do self-correction whenever you practice with this one. You can see your answers, you can track your answers and word, and you can learn. That's one good thing about this particular word, IELTS online tests. Okay? If you are fortunate, you'll be able to do lots of tests on this site without paying. For some people, they are not able to do that, but I don't know. You can keep on trying and practicing until you're able to, until they say you should pay. I know some people that they've done as many as 20 tests without paying. So it's a good site for you to practice your listening and your reading. So the point I want to make here is that word, take the time, okay? Be patient with yourself and take the time to what? Listen closely to what the speakers say. Anytime you are what? You are practicing your listening, okay? For a beginner, feel free to rewind and replay until you what? Until you get used to what? To how these guys talk. You understand? Until you get used to what? Until you get used to how they talk. And then once you see that, okay, you've really mastered it, begin to practice without rewinding and replaying. Okay? When you get to a point where you are sure that, okay, yes, I think I can hear them very well now, you don't need to rewind and replay. You don't need to pause and rewind again. You understand now? But of course, after every exercise, take the time to do self-correction and learn. Okay? Even if you score 4/40, you don't need to feel bad. Your job is to go back and do self-correction. You are not going to learn anything from feeling bad. No. You just need to ask yourself, okay, what was my mistake? And the way to know your mistake is to what? Is to do thorough, intensive self-correction. I hope you guys understand my point. Let me see if you guys are with me. Let me know who is getting my point. Let me see if you are with me. I want you to type in the chat box and say, yes, I get your point. Yes, I get your point.